What's going on, lads and lasses? Welcome back to 100% Mags. So, of course, some breaking news on Wednesday. Of course, Craig Hope came out with reports saying that Newcastle United on the verge of signing yet another massive young talent, 19-year-old Miodrag Pivas. Of course, Serbian international. He's only 19 years old and he's already coming in at 6'2" in height. So he's got plenty of time to grow even further. And the great thing about this lad is that he has got lightning speed, with footage clocking him in at 35 kilometers per hour. Now, when you compare that to players in the Premier League, last season, the top speed of a player in the Premier League was Kyle Walker at 37 kilometers per hour. So that shows just how fast this lad really is. Now, for 6'2" and only 19 years old, and to be a defender slash centre midfielder, or central defensive midfielder, and have that speed is absolutely brilliant. And like I say, he's only 19 years old, so he's still got plenty of time to grow and become stronger as a player as well. And he's already getting praise from fellow Serbians as well, with Nemanja Maric saying that he hasn't seen a player as good as this since Nemanja Vidic, former Man United defender, of course. And Vidic played in only the second division of the Serbian leagues, whilst this kid is playing in the first division, pretty much the Premier League of the Serbian leagues. And he's already represented his country at under 17 level as well. So this lad looks absolutely fantastic. And what adds even more credibility to the reports from Craig Hope saying that Newcastle are set to complete the signing of this kid next week, and he's being billed as one for the future. Craig Hope's being told is the fact that on Wednesday there was also footage of him being shown around by a club official at the temporary club store just next to the Strawberry, and of course being shown around the training ground as well. So that adds even more credibility to the reports by Craig Hope that this lad is going to be a Newcastle United player next season. Let us know your thoughts on him down in the comments below. But moving away from that, we will talk about another piece of news. This one is to talk about the reports from, again, Craig Hope coming out and saying exclusive that Chelsea made an inquiry for Alexander Isak. Now, Newcastle just laughed them out the door with this inquiry. Their valuation was well below anything Newcastle United want to take for Alexander Isak or feel is worthy of, negotiations with Alexander Isak. And Chelsea came in with an inquiry asking about the availability of the player. Newcastle put down an offer. Chelsea came back with their counter offer, which was 50 million in Nicholas Jackson. Newcastle just laughed them out the door, put the phone down, and then of course there was a phone call from Tottenham, who also inquired about Isak and asked was he available to buy. Again, offering a fee to Newcastle plus a player, 50 million plus Richarlison. Newcastle again laughing them out the door, putting the phone down, because for me, my opinion is we should be looking at bare minimum 200 million for Alexander Isak. Look at what the lad's done since he's come in. Yes, he's got injuries, but who doesn't these days? Most players have injuries, but look at how long he's been out with his injuries, what he's done when he's come back after his injuries as well. Last season he was out for quite a bit of the season, but he still managed to get himself right in there and around the top goal scorer argument, So that in itself is a credit to what kind of player Alexander Isak is. His stats as well, for how accurate he is with his shots on goal, is well above anybody else in the Premier League, well above everybody else probably in the world. In that in itself right there demands a high fee. He's still a very young lad as well. Still a lot to give it to the game, and we heard, you know, what Ibrahimovic had to say about Isak before Isak joined Newcastle, you know, saying that Isak is the future of Swedish football. When Isak's finished, everybody will be talking about Isak. They will not be talking about Ibrahimovic. That is a massive statement by Ibrahimovic, you know, to say that, especially what kind of player he was during his playing career. So we've seen it ourselves firsthand, you know, last season, Isak just tearing defences apart. So for me, it's bare minimum 200 million, or you might as well just bugger off because you're not getting anywhere near a negotiation, anywhere near talking to the player. You know, if you don't put that kind of offer down on the table. Like the owners have said, every player is available, but for the right price. And 50 million is not the right price for Alexander Isak. It's not even close to the right price. You know, you're well off the mark on that one. So Chelsea, you know, if they're wanting to get Isak, they need to come back with a better offer. Tottenham, if they're wanting to have Isak, they need to come back with a better offer. But personally, myself, I just hope Isak stays with Newcastle. I'm sure he will. You know, he's going to be signing a new contract pretty soon. Just like Bruno signed his new contract, he's going to be earning a lot of money at Newcastle as well, and rightly so, because he fully deserves it with what he's done for Newcastle since coming here. And, you know, everybody is again going to be envious and jealous of Newcastle because they can't get Bruno, they can't get Isak, and there's going to be other players that they can't get as well, you know, that they're all trying to get, and they're all players. Unless you put down the offer that Newcastle are asking, you're not even going to get close to having a talk with the player. So that is my opinion on that news about Isak. Moving on to, of course, talk about some more transfer news as well in the video. So we're also seeing reports from Romano saying that Newcastle and AC Milan have been in contact, of course, to discuss possible opportunities. No talks about Tomori, however, but Newcastle are showing an interest in Thor of Germany, of course. He's becoming an important part of the Milan project, but Newcastle are looking to bring him to play at St James's Park. AC Milan are also looking at possibly taking Kieran Trippier to the San Siro. So see what happens on that one. But I've looked into Thor of Germany, and he seems to be a pretty good player. I haven't seen too much of him, but he does look pretty good. And, you know, only time will tell what will happen with this deal. But Newcastle and AC Milan have been in contact with each other, discussing possible opportunities on a little deal there. So we'll see what happens, of course, on that one in due course. Also, reports going around that there's a lot of fellow Newcastle United fans saying that we should drop our interest in James Trafford and that we should go for Mamić. Now, I said this in a previous video. The first choice option for goalkeeper would be Mamić. The lad is absolutely fantastic, and he's proved it in this Euros. You know, he's been absolutely fantastic for Georgia. He's putting a real shift in between the posts for Georgia as well. And most recently in the last game, he was absolutely on fire. James Trafford is a good goalkeeper. You know, if he does end up joining Newcastle United, then obviously I will give him his chance. But my first choice would be Mamić. Now, 40 million is a fair price tag for a goalkeeper of his caliber, what he's able to give. You know, that is a fair price tag for him. And I think he could do quite a lot for Newcastle moving forward. We would have the benefit as well of having some links with Georgia as well in the past, with Ketsbayer, of course, being the Georgian manager, also being a former Newcastle United player, so he could put a good word in there for Newcastle, you know, and get Mamić moving in this direction. Not that he has to, because Mamić has said himself that he would love a move to Newcastle United. The only thing holding up the deal is Valencia in regards to their evaluation of Mohamed Ashford. But 40 mil price tag is pretty fair, you know, when you consider what kind of player Mohamed Ashford is. But I would be happy to see him come and be, you know, the goalkeeper for Newcastle United, moving probably Nicky Pope back to the number 2. And that's if, you know, Pope would take being the number 2. He's got, another shoulder injury. Of course, he's already had one previous to this one. And last season, you know, he ended up missing quite a bit of it because of the new shoulder injury that he picked up. And, you know, with goalkeepers, you've got to be careful with the shoulders. It's a dodgy injury to have as a goalkeeper. So maybe we might have to move forward a little bit sooner on the looking for a replacement for Nicky Pope. And Mohamed Ashford for me would be that replacement. Like I say, James Trafford would be a good one as well. But, you know, my number 1 choice would be Mohamed Ashford. But moving on to the next piece, to talk about a bit more transfer news. Okay, so I don't know how credible this news is, but there was also news saying that Newcastle had, of course, put out an offer to John Ruddy after he has left Birmingham. It was only a short-term contract Newcastle have supposedly offered John Ruddy to join Newcastle, and I think that could just be down as a potential replacement for Loris Karius, of course, to come in and just make up the numbers on the goalkeeping side of things. But we'll have to wait and see. The Mirror reporting this, of course, so I don't know how credible it is. We'll have to wait and see. You know, only time will tell if this is true or not. But we have seen, you know, John Ruddy does have Premier League experience, you know, being at Norwich, being at Everton. So he does have that experience there, but if anything, it would be nothing more than to be a backup goalkeeper just to make up the numbers on the bench, of course, with we're already moving on Loris Karius, and of course the news that Martin Dubravka also wants to move away from Newcastle as well. So we do need to have extra options on the bench, aside from, of course, Mark Gillespie, because you don't know what kind of situations are ahead. So we do need to have the other options there, you know, to be able to rely on if we need them. But moving on from that, of course, to talk about the final thing of the video, of course, and that is the update on Yakuba Minter. Now, want to watch, according to what Romano is saying, in the next 24 to 48 hours, as Newcastle are still trying to sell Yakuba due to financial fair play restrictions, or PSR. Olympic Lyon made the best proposal for Minter, but he is still keen on a move to Everton. There's also reports going around saying that, of course, Brighton are also asking about the conditions of the deal as well earlier this week. But as of now, the best offer that has been proposed to Newcastle has been from Olympic Lyon. But Newcastle, of course, have been given no green light from the players' side as of now. But I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. Like I say, Romano saying in the next 24 to 48 hours, it is a one to watch. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that and see how that develops moving forward. And also, before we finish off the video, I do want to chuck in a quick update as well on Sven Botman. Sven Botman, of course, has been pictured doing some exercises on an exercise bike. He's been doing some weights exercises as well. And he looks like he could be back a lot sooner than has been predicted, of course, for him. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But he could be back a lot sooner than was predicted, of course, with him doing quite well in his exercises to rehabilitate, of course, the ACL injury that he's picked up As for Lascelles, however, there's nothing really been said on Lascelles on there, the ACL side of things. I guess we'll have to wait a little bit longer on that one. But Sven Botman posting some exercise videos, of course, of him working out and getting himself back into shape and trying to get that, ACL strengthened as well. But let us know your thoughts anyway down in the comments below about everything said in this video today. I know it has been a bit of a long one, but I would really appreciate it if you could hit the like on the video. It does massively help support the channel going forward, and it is completely free, takes seconds to do, but does massively help the channel moving forward. And if you're new or if you haven't done it yet, hit that big red button, subscribe and turn on the bell for all notifications so you never miss another 100% Mags video. And I'll see you all in the next one. How about that?